Hey guys, it's XTR, and I'm going to talk to you about player-specific roles, and I'm going to do it in an ASMR format. So to start off with this video, I just want to say thank you for almost 500 subscribers. I'm at 485 at the time of recording this, and this video is going up tomorrow morning, which is going to be Monday morning. This video is going to cover a certain role that you can play in this game. You want to play this role properly to not make yourself look like a fucking fool in front of all your teammates. So this role is known as lurking, and what lurking is basically you are cutting yourself off from the team and you are going in a separate direction to convey information and to have an impact on the round that you are playing. You don't want to do this every round because that causes you to be predictable, and your team's going to be pretty pissed if you are gone every single round. Now in Pugs specifically, this is still a very good role, but it really shines in things like scrims when you have more team coordination, but this role can still be picked up and used in random matches in ranked play that is coming soon. So this is actually one of my favorite roles to play. I actually play this role a lot, and it's not because I'm a fucking beta male that likes to bait his teammates. It's because I happen to actually do really well in this role. So I'm going to give some of the tips I have learned through playing this role and how you can actually pick this up and do it properly. I wanted to say real quick though, in this role, you don't want to be baiting your teammates and just basically playing this role to get kills. That is not the purpose of this role. The purpose of this role is to be a useful connection for your team to have to the other site. You don't want to be constantly waiting for your team to die and then try and make a clutch play. I do that sometimes, and that's because I'm a fucking cuck. You don't want to be like me. You want to be smart, and you want to actually be able to get to the other site, clear it out, and then kind of reconnect with your team in a timely fashion, in a timely manner. Now, given some rounds, a lot of the rounds you are playing this position, you will end up as being the last player alive. So keep that in mind before you proceed with learning this role. You will end up being the last player alive a lot of the times, and a lot of people will hate you because they're just going to think you're baiting them. But if you play this position right, they will know that you are actually doing work for them. If you decide to be a lurk 50% of the rounds, you are still basically lurking 100% of the rounds. And what I mean by that, if you play a lurking role throughout the entire game, you're going to be easier to predict. But if you play it half of the rounds, the enemy team is going to get used to the fact that you are somewhere just fucking around in their backline, just beaten off somewhere in a bush, and they're going to be afraid of that constantly. So even if you're not actually lurking for half of those rounds, they're going to think you are, and they're going to constantly be worried about that. Now, in a lurking role, say my team is pushing up A short, right? They're pushing A short. So what I do is I make my way through and I wait until they are actually hitting this short. And that should pull a rotate from around here. And even if it doesn't, the person will not be here waiting. For the most part, if my team starts pushing into A short, they're probably going to pull at least one or two people off of B, maybe just one. And they might even try and flank through here. So you can cut this rotate off, or you can wait for your time, and you can slowly start pushing through. Now, on this map, I will say, this map is a bit bigger, so lurking on it is good, but at the same time, it's not as easy, because it's very large, so you have to rotate much farther to actually get to the other side of the map. So if I was to walk all the way through here and not make any noise, I would have to keep walking pretty much the entire time until I get over to a site, which is a pretty long walk, but it's still impactful to do. Now, one thing I should mention when you're playing a lurk is you really don't want to let go of your shift key. You want to be as silent as possible. You don't want any chance that they can actually hear you and know what you're doing. So if you get to a point like this, you are officially behind them, and you can assist them from behind. You can try and pick up kills, and you can try and help them secure the round. Now, this isn't the only way to play a lurk. This is kind of like the basic way. If your team is pushing somewhere, you go the opposite way. You push in through after the enemies rotate. Just make sure you aren't making noise. Make sure you're not being predictable. And make sure you are being careful, because after a couple rounds of you doing stuff like this, they are going to start noticing, and they will apply more pressure towards watching their backline, and they'll have more attention watching their backline. So keep that in mind as you're playing this position. If your team is just putting constant pressure here and they're running, like, say, a default, and I'll go over defaults in a different video, but basically it's just whatever you're going to run at the start of the round, where you just wait and you decide what you're going to do. So if they start putting pressure on A short and A bath, then it's probably going to pull one or two rotates. And if you're, say you're in here, you're waiting along, you can kind of creep up to here, and you can wait and listen. And if they start rotating, you can hear that out, and you can kind of wiggle your way in like a fucking snake. So you can come in here, and you can signal to your team once you get to a certain point. You can say, hey, this shit's actually clear as fuck. They actually left the bomb site. And you can say, get the fuck over to B site because we're about to execute this shit. You can get them to cut their pressure off on A slowly, kind of just trickle it down, and then they can slowly start rotating over and bring the spike over here. And another thing you can do now this can be really risky, but you can start pushing into their spawn to cut off rotates. Now I wouldn't recommend this because a lot of the times you will die, but you can do it. Personally, if I was playing this position and my team was starting to rotate over here, I know there's going to be people rotating, so I would just hold an angle like this or like this and just wait for them to actually come up and make sure my teammates can actually secure site safely. So it's just a constant backline pressure. And one thing you don't want to do on a lurking position is just try and take gunfights at the start of every round. That is so fucking pointless. So if you're here and your team is starting to push onto these sites, don't swing out like this and try and get a fucking frag. It's not going to work. And even if it does, you're not playing your role right, and you should get punished most of the times when you do stuff like this. So just know, if you are playing the lurk position and you do shit like this, your team is absolutely going to despise you 100% of the time. The goal of a lurk is to be that constant feedback of information, so your team knows what the enemy team is doing on these sites. They know if there are players on these sites, and they know if they are aggressing towards them, and you can cut off rotates and flanks. So this is a very powerful position, but you have to be a very meticulous and a very patient player. And the way you get better at this is developing game sense. And this role in particular will help you develop game sense faster than any other role, in my personal opinion, other than like an IGL role or something. Take this role slow and kind of ease into it if you've never played anything like this before. And if you're a beginner in these type of games, I would personally also say that this is probably not the best role to pick up at the start, but you can try it. This is a closed beta game, and you shouldn't be caring that much about winning or losing. What you should be focused on is getting good enough to actually play well when rank comes around, and to achieve that highest rank you can possibly achieve. So just keep that in mind. You are the feedback of information, and you can also have a very large impact on the round. If one bomb site is clear and you note that, and your team isn't fully pushed into a site, you can get them to cut that shit off as fast as they cut off fucking dine-in restaurants when COVID hit. So just know that this is very situational, and you have to play your cards right in these situations. And like I said previously, like a minute ago, this is a very meticulous, very patient play style, and it requires a lot of game sense. But let me summarize one more time. This is a closed beta game, and I personally believe that you should be using this time to better yourself as a player, because that comes above literally anything else, like winning and fucking getting kills in this current closed beta. You need to be focused on winning, but also be focused on your general improvement and what you are doing right and wrong in games. So this is a pretty fast upload, but I wanted to get this out, and I'm going over more player roles, but this is the one I wanted to knock out first. So I hope you guys enjoyed. We're about to hit 500. And hopefully within the next, I don't know, year or so, we can hit 1,000. Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm sorry I didn't have any background footage, but I've been streaming a lot lately, so I don't really have any footage to go along with this and complement this. Soon I might start recording gameplay again, so just look out for that. And I appreciate you guys. Y'all have a good day.